guidelines for business centers marketing programs, and allocation over the planning period. Now, what does that mean? Basically, I'm sure, as I told you, next trimester, after you come back from your summers, you will have a course known as strategic management or business strategy, whatever you call it. Now, the strategic management is a subject which is one of the most exciting ever in your 2 years. The reason why it is exciting is because this is a subject which is going to convert a student like you into a management professional. I'm talking about management professional, not marketing professional. And the reason is manifold. I don't want to say why, because your strategic management faculty would definitely put in his 2 bits to tell you why it is so exciting. Of course, last year that fellow was Pranav Dev, but yeah, we can talk about some other faculty this time. I don't know, the person is different, can be different, but at the end of it, all I want to say is strategy is, sorry, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
good. Yeah? I'm audible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great. That's all. I mean, I will interrupt you in between and ask you such silly questions like, am I audible, etc. But anyway, you have to stay with me. Now, when I'm talking about strategy, remember, strategy is a plan of plans. It's a huge plan, and it is always top-down. Strategy cannot be bottom-up. It is always top-down. The management makes the strategy, and people like you and me have to implement the strategy. So the question here is, when you are implementing a strategy, and when the boss has given some guidelines, what is it as a marketing manager or as a product manager, what do you tell your top management in that meeting, in the strategy meeting? One of the most important things you all want is resources. Yeah, it can be money, it can be manpower, it can be new offices, it can be a marketing software, whatever. I mean, the works. But you are asking the management for resources. Yeah. Second, you are not alone in the meeting. There will be the sales manager, there will be the administration head, there will be the finance head. Everybody will be there. And the first thing the finance guy will tell you, that is their bread and butter. So don't feel bad about it. The first thing the finance guy will tell you is, paisa nahi hai. You know, you can have great plans, but the first thing they will say is, paisa nahi hai. And generally the top management, the owner or the MD or whoever, loves this statement. Paisa nahi hai. What it basically means is, please forget your marketing plans. Or even better, please go ahead with your entire plans without asking for money. So these are some of the things which as a marketing manager you have to face at every meeting. Paisa nahi hai, and then you have to tell the compelling reasons. Ki why is it that I need the money? And how do you do that? It is all by something known as a marketing plan. So now let's read this. Give yourself 10 seconds, 15 seconds and read it. So a marketing plan is a written document. You cannot have a marketing plan in your head. So a marketing plan is a written document containing the guidelines for the business centers marketing programs. And even more important, allocations over the planning period. That planning period can be immediate. You know, for example, I mean, we are having a great marketing case study now. And the case study is coronavirus. Now, what happens during coronavirus? The first thing is people like me, poor people, whose checks have to come from Pumba, does not come. Why? Because obviously there is no Pumba working. So even if they have to pay me money, paisa nahi hai. So what happens to my car installment, which I have taken from Tata? I will not be able to pay. So two things happen. The government says, okay, I understand, Pranav, you are a poor, poverty-stricken faculty, and you are not able to pay. We will help you. So how do you help? For the next 3 months, there is no EMI for your car or your personal loan or your credit card or anything. Do you know that? This has already come through. So every bank has written off 3 months of money. And the fun part is, this means that for Pranav, he gets a relief of 45,000 rupees. And if you look at the amount of installments every bank in the country has to get, that amount can be maybe $100 billion. So it is said that in the next 3 months, banks are going to have a huge write-down of $300 billion. Now, this is not a small amount. So what happens is the banks and the financial institutions have actually gone to the to Sitaraman ma'am and said, "Paisa de do." And how much money are they expecting? $390 billion only. Now, is Mr. Modi giving that money? I believe yes. I believe yes. So there is a 170,000 crore plan, 1,70,000 crore plan for underwriting these problems of the banks, financial institutions, etc. So remember, a marketing plan is always a written document, and it has to have a planning period. So this is a planning period of 3 months where they say our income is going to be zero, we need help from the government. Now the question is, what happens to the car companies, what happens to Zomato, what happens to other companies or the restaurants or Taj Mahal Hotel? Please don't ask me. We are now in a very serious economic problem. So this is what a marketing plan would be. It will talk about what is the allocation, what can be the pros and what can be the challenges, and how do you fight that. Chalo, Adnan, next. Now that marketing plan is done, let us go to the next one. Yeah. So time horizon for marketing plans. You cannot have a time horizon which is, which is not measured. You have to have. So if you have a marketing plan for services, the time horizon is only 1 year. You know what I'm trying to say? That if you start a business or if you submit a plan, marketing plan to your top management, generally 65% of services marketing companies have a timeline of 1 year. Okay, 2020 April will do this much. 2021 March, this is what we are going to do. So 65% of all plans in services is 1 year. And industrial products, because their gestation period is very high, you'll find that industrial products can have only 45% of the plans is for 1 year. In fact, almost 17% plus, that is almost say 22%, is 5 years plus. Because industrial product has a gestation period of not less than 5 years. That is, if you invest say $1 billion now, by the time you make your first dollar, you will get a time lag of at least 3 to 5 years. So industrial products is higher. Consumer products, on the other hand, something like services, is 1 year. So if you introduce a toothpaste today, it is expected that you expect 62% of all your plans of all the products is 1 year. Okay, so services and consumer products, more than 60% has a time lag of 1 year. Industrial products, 45% have a time lag of 1 year. Rest, 55% is beyond 3 years. Okay, so this is what you should know. Okay, next. Yeah, so this is the hierarchy of planning. Now, when you say hierarchy of planning, you have 3 levels of planning. Of course, you will, in due course of time, as I told you, business strategy is a very, very exciting subject. I'll just go through a little bit on this. What is corporate strategic planning? What is group planning? And what is SBO planning? It's something like this. If I take a group like Tata's, Tata makes trucks, Tata makes software, Tata makes salt, Tata also sells, Samsung TV with Chroma, and it also sells, chutney banyan through West Side. So Tata has so many products and services which it offers to the customers. So you have Mr. Ratan Tata and the head people sitting in the corporate office. I'm sure you know where the corporate office is. It is in Mumbai. The head office is known as Bombay House. They have not changed it to Mumbai House. You can, of course, give a petition. That's not an issue. So Bombay House. That is where you have the head of all Tata companies having an office there. It's not a very big office. Yes, Adnan? I am not able to understand. Who's the disease?
There's someone named coronavirus on the group, so we were just talking.
Yes, there is, yeah. I have it somewhere down.
Yeah.
So there is a person named coronavirus, and
I
was very
contribute a lot in
happy.
laughter.
Yes, and coronavirus contributes a lot, especially in these times. And yeah, we have to be, okay, so he is a disease.
Dance to keep the cure.
पापा आप लोग खा लीजिए ना.
Okay, anyway, let's get on with Tata's. Yeah, so if you see Tata's corporate strategy, it is all done Anuj, you have given to everyone. Daksha, please mute your mic. My suggestion is please give it to Daksha.
Sorry, sir. Oh, that was by mistake.
No problems. Absolutely no problems. And I want you to interrupt wherever you feel I can be a little bit more helpful on that topic. Please do interrupt and say, sir, I want some more inputs on this. I will give. I don't know if I'm paid for this. Anyway, so corporate strategic planning is where Tatas will be doing that in Bombay House. Now, as I told you, Tatas sell everything from salt to trucks to cars to chutney banyan. The question is, can you have a strategy for TCS and replicate it in Tata Motors?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. The reason being, if you look at TCS, the rate of attrition is 23%. And if you take Tata Steel, the rate of attrition is 1%. In TCS, the rate of attrition is 23%, where people resign and go to some other software company. In Tata Steel, the attrition rate is 1% because 1% people retire every year, which means the rate of people resigning from Tata Steel is stuck at almost zero. You don't resign from Tata Steel, you retire from Tata Steel. I think you know how good Tata Steel is. When you retire from Jamshedpur, Tata Steel has a huge amount of land. You are given a small land to build a small bungalow. You can build a bungalow. They will give you a loan to build a bungalow. You build it, stay there, and there is a beautiful clubhouse. You are free to, you and your family are free to use the clubhouse for the rest of your life after retiring. And you get pension, you get money, what not. So you don't resign, you retire. Okay, now that is corporate styling plan, which means if I have TCS and Tata Steel and Tata Motors having different strategies, it is but natural that I have to now separate it out into different companies. So that means every group will have a different strategy. So Tata Steel will have a different strategy, Tata Consulting Services will have a different strategy, Tata Salt will have a different strategy. Great. Now let's go to Tata Motors. Now Tata Motors is a huge conglomerate across countries. I have seen their office in Johannesburg in South Africa. My own office was not very far from there. So they have got offices across the world. They have got a JLR, they have got a Tata Nano, they have got a truck, and so on. So the question I have for this class is, if you are selling a Jag, which is costing about 1.5 crore, and you are selling a Nano at 2,63,000 or maybe 2 lakh something, can you have the same strategy?
No, sir. STP will be different.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Definitely not.
No, sir.
No.
So what you're trying to tell me now is Tata Motors is a business unit of Tata Group. Even though it is a company which is making only automobiles and trucks, you cannot have the same strategy for two different vehicles. Right?
Yes, sir.
So Jag,
Yes, sir.
correct. So within Tata Motors also, you need a separate strategy for Jaguar, separate strategy for Land Rover, and a separate strategy for Nano. So this is where you have your third level, that is the product level or business level of planning. So 3 levels: corporate, sector, and product or line of business, right? So this is what your hierarchy of planning is. And the fun part is, even within, let's say, passenger cars of Tata, let's say you have Nano, you have Indica, you have Indigo, you have Tiago, you have Tigor, and you have got something known as Zest. So these 6 also will have a different marketing strategy. So the strategy for a car costing, say, 8 lakhs and a strategy for a car costing 3 lakhs will be different. So this is where you have this hierarchy of planning. So the point I was trying to make here is that one plan does not fit the group. That means we have to separate the group into different sectors or SBUs or whatever you call it. And within an SBU like Tata Motors, you cannot have one plan. That means even within the SBU for different products, different offerings, you will have to have different business plans. So 3 levels. That's all I'm trying to say here. Let's go ahead.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So you explained SBU planning as something like for Nano. You explained group or sector planning as something like for Jaguar and Land Rover. So how would you explain corporate strategic planning? Could you please give an example?
Okay, I'll tell you. Corporate strategy planning is something very easy. All the guys will sit. Ratan Tata will sit, and now I think the new head is Balakrishna. What is his name? From TCS, he has become the head of Tata.
So some South Indian.
Don't say South Indian.
N. Chandrasekhar.
See, there are
Mistry.
I think in this class also n number of.
N. Chandrasekharan.
Chandrasekhar, correct. So from TCS, he has now been, he said. So what happens is there will be Chandrasekhar, there will be Ratan Tata, and some Mistry family, and so on. And they will all sit, and they will say, for the next year, we are now at, let's say, 130 billion. Next year, we want to take it up to 145 billion. That's it. So the corporate strategic planning is something like giving a direction to where the group will go. That we want to be 150 billion in about, say, 2 years, right? So to do that, that is when they will take turns. If, for example, the most profitable arm of Tata is TCS, right? They have profits of upwards of 25%. Steel, 6, 7, that's the industry norm. Tata Motors, maybe it is a loss. Forget all this. So after taking a few companies which are in loss and a few companies doing great, you have to come to a conclusion that because of coronavirus, I think he's there, yeah. Because of coronavirus, we will not reach 140 billion. Maybe let us try to get a 5% growth. And then there will be decision. No, we want 10, 5, 10, 5, and then they will say, okay, 7% growth. So from 130 billion, let us go to around, let's say, 140 billion. And then the people will leave, and that's it. So the corporate strategic meeting or the corporate strategic planning is a sense of direction. The group sector and SBU planning is the set of products within the SBU which will have its own thing. And then within the SBU, you have your business plans. So this is what this is how generally planning is done. Sense of direction, implementation, and micromanagement. Or product management. We are very good in saying product. Yeah. So this is what the objectives are. I mean, just read it. Nothing much. It says define the current business situation. So if you have if you are into pharma business, the situation is balle balle. Yeah. Any and every drug, just take it, and now people will start hoarding not money, not gold, but they will start hoarding pharma products. As soon as the 14th, the thing is done, on 15th, the place where you will find the maximum crowd is 2 or 3 places. 1, the wine shop. 2, the the pharmacies. And 3, well, I don't know where.
Chicken.
So, sorry?
Chicken shop, sir.
Chicken shop is already open. Seriously.
people are not consuming it because of the rumors.
Swiggy is giving, Zomato is giving.
I just had chicken.
Chicken and mutton. You can get. Chicken is not off. In fact, I
Chicken
have
is
just
available.
gone down with you. They were
Okay.
supplying chicken. Not an issue. So chicken shop will not see that much of a crowd, but the wine shop will. Sorry? Now don't tell me that is available. Okay, anyway,
It's not available.
it's not available, right? So on
I have tried.
15th, you know what is going to happen. Anyway, that's the lighter side of life. What is this? Ah, you're right. Who's V? Who's V? He
V
or
for
she
Vendetta.
is very. Huh?
It's definitely
V for Vendetta. It's a very famous movie.
So he very correct. Salon,
Yeah.
correct. The salon service will face a lot of customers. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that let us always have a current business situation plan. Have you gone through a course in business environment?
It's scheduled for this trimester, but there's no.
Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet.
No, sir,
Have
not
you
yet.
gone through something known as ST analysis? Pest analysis हो गया?
No, no, sir. No, sir.
No, sir, no, sir.
I'm sure you've gone through SWOT analysis.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great. So,
So we have been
idea
introduced
what
to
is
Pestle,
SWOT
but
analysis?
not in detail, sir.
Not in details?
Yeah,
Okay.
just the basic
SWOT
introduction.
analysis. Great.
For Pestle, sir,
In which subject? Marketing?
it was in
Pestle is,
economics,
but what
management economics.
Great. Great. And what about SWOT? That was in marketing?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Marketing. It was in marketing, sir.
Okay, great. So since you have just gone through the basics of Pestle, let me ask you about SWOT. SWOT. Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So if I ask you, I mean, just for discussion's sake, in the current situation where on 15th of April, if the lockdown is lifted, I mean, allow me to use the word if, because it will all depend on what is the amount of people or the number of people who are tested as having COVID. If the number is in very high thousands, then I think it will be extended. I mean, I'm just giving a ballpark figure, because if it is within limits, then yes, it will be lifted, and hopefully things are better.
It won't be lifted, sir. And under any circumstances, it won't be lifted because we are not testing enough. The 2,000 cases is not depicting the reality. We definitely have cases in tens of thousands. You can easily multiply
I'm
it by
with you,
20.
but then by 20, why 20?
Because we are not testing and there are a lot of asymptomatic cases.
Correct.
Of the
Correct.
easy
I agree.
factor we can multiply. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I'm so happy coronavirus knows it. So you're right. The reason is the asymptomatic test or the asymptomatic people remain asymptomatic for their life. So why should I test him or her?
So problem is that you are not testing other people. We are only looking at the clusters. We are just testing all the clusters. We don't think
We are
that
not even testing the
community.
clusters.
Yeah, we don't know that the community
We are not
transmission has
testing the
already begun.
clusters.
Yeah.
Right. So community transmission is expected because of the Dharavi case last night.
More than that, even that Nizamuddin cluster itself will lead to.
All right, Nizamuddin, exactly. I'm with you on this.
But
So
it
are
is
you
not
trying
possible
say
to.
that on 15th, Yeah,
That's
go
actually
ahead, go ahead.
Sir, but it is not possible to test actually each and every person in India due to the population size of India. So the countries like
Correct.
Singapore and South Korea can do the testing because they have limited number of people in their country. And in our
Right.
country, we have so much population, it is not practically feasible to test all. Although the testing should be aggravated, that they should do more aggressive testing now, and they will be doing that, but it is not possible to test each and everyone in India, sir. Like they did in
you can
Korea, South
a good
Korea,
a
and
good
in Singapore.
Okay.
a good metric
Okay.
is you can look at the death rate. Look at the death rate. If it's 5% or 4%, something like that. That does not depict the reality. The reality is closer to we will be at lesser than 1% death rate, at least in India.
Okay.
So a lot of
Okay.
countries are showing 8%, even 10%. That's not close to reality. The near number of cases is actually multiplied by 10 or even 20. For example, the Chinese numbers are a complete joke. They're not even close to
Yes, yes.
reality. Actual
No
number
one
of
will
cases
give the real number.
is million,
Okay.
nothing
Okay.
less than
Okay.
that.
Got it. I have some statistics. Obviously, as George Bernard Shaw said, you have lies, damn lies, and statistics. So I'm going directly to statistics.
Yes, sir.
In Karnataka, there is a city known as Mangalore, and Mangalore opens up its business for 9 hours every day. Other cities like Davangere and etc. is open for about 4 to 5 hours every day. And the total coronavirus cases in the entire Karnataka state is 110. And the total deaths is 5. And on the other side, you have Maharashtra, completely locked down everywhere. And the death rate is about 19 or 20 out of about 200 people tested positive. So we really don't know which is better. So that's why we are in a as they say, I think I was reading an article. It says the whole world now has become a laboratory. So hopefully things become better. Now, in the current business situation, as many of you have a little bit of doubt, what happens if the Prime Minister on 14th evening, generally at 8 p.m., he comes on TV and said, this lockdown is being continued for the next 3 weeks. What happens to the
Sentiment
business situation?
tanks. The
Sorry?
sentiment. We cannot keep our economy closed for such a long period of time. 60-70% of our economy is closed. And especially the
70, I
unorganized
thought it
sector.
was 93%.
It is 90%.
Except medicines and groceries, nothing else is working.
I think there is going to be some kind of irreversible damage after that. I think we will not be able to recover.
So what happens?
So any
What
damage,
happens?
any damage about keeping the economy closed is better than having the loss of lives lost. You can check the scenarios and ask people in Italy and US when they started this everything late. If keeping your economy open or keeping your people safe would have been your first priority. So I think defining the economy in this crisis is a little difficult. Having
After World War II, Europe was completely wiped out. Germany was bombed out. England was bombed out. Most of Europe was bombed out. And the only country which had some money and resources which were almost intact is the US. So because of that, the balance of economic power shifted from Europe to US. And not only that, I think you all know about this Baton Rouge and all those. Yeah, not Baton Rouge. It was Baton Rouge. I think that was the meeting of the victors of the World War II, and they decided how the world will be from now on, which included one of them is the international currency of the world will be the US dollar. So if I buy oil from Saudi Arabia, I'm India, Saudi Arabia is a separate country, but the exchange is in American dollars, where America is nowhere involved in that deal. So this is what the meeting said, and these are how the new world became. Now, America, as we know, is an isolationist country, always has been. Just because Trump is now saying does not mean it has suddenly become isolationist. It was always isolationist. They always felt we are different from the world. So in the 60s, when the world economy was booming, because after World War II, you know, there was a huge construction boom, industry boom in Europe. So American companies wanted to go to Europe. So when they wanted to go to Europe, now Americans, as I told you, are isolationists. They don't know the world. If you ask an average American about India, he or she will look at you blankly. They might have heard about a country named India, but nothing more about it. So when they wanted to go to Europe, they wanted to know what are the risks involved and what are the profits which can be made. And that's the reason why 1960s is when they went abroad, and 1960s Harvard Business School came up with an SWOT model. It is said that there are many other authors who have done it. So I'm not getting into that at all. Your internet connection is unstable. Am I audible, visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great, great. So because of that, this was a study done by US universities to find out what is the market of Europe for American products. And that is when they came out with a model known as strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This model in 1960s meant for Americans going abroad, especially to Europe. Now, can it be used for a company in India, in Pune, to go to other parts of the country? The answer is absolutely yes. Because India itself is such a huge country, and there are so many different kinds of people. There are so many different kinds of, markets. Yeah, and that is the reason why SWOT analysis can be a method by which a company can understand whether it should go outside Pune to different groups or not. And that is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Any inputs from the group? No inputs? Okay. So Adnan, let's go to the 6th slide, please. Yeah. Now, if you look at SWOT, one of the things which is not available is how do you use SWOT in the modern business scenario or the modern business environment? Is it fine to use SWOT in a modern business environment? Now, when I'm talking about modern environment, I'm also talking about e-commerce, using business, using the web, and so many other things. Can SWOT give us some answer to that? A few times yes, a few times no. So if we talk about the marketing plan, remember the first few is SWOT. Then we come to what is it that a product manager should talk about. And one thing is pinpoint responsibility. For example, if I say it is the responsibility of a person or the regional manager to increase sale in his or her region, that means I am giving or pinpointing responsibility to a person. Tomorrow, if the sales go up, I praise the responsible person. If the sales go down, I know who is basically supposed to give me the answers. So pinpointing responsibility, careful and disciplined thinking, customer competitive orientation. I wish to talk about this competitor customer orientation. And the reason why I wish to speak for about a couple of minutes is because there are n number of products. Yesterday we talked about, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. Yesterday or day before yesterday, we talked about close competitors. We talked about Coke and Pepsi. If it is available in the canteen of Pumbaa, you can take Coke, but if it is not available and you have a cola like Pepsi available, you do not think twice and take a Pepsi. So what I'm trying to say is, if the competitor orientation is there and the customer's loyalty towards your product is established, then it is feasible and possible that you can, as a marketer, you can, predict your customer behavior. If the product has several very close competitors, then the customer loyalty towards your product is very low. If the competitors are less, then it is feasible and possible that the competitor or that the customer loyalty towards your product is high. For example, if you want to buy a color TV and the total number of brands for a color TV in the shop is not more than 7 or 8. So out of the 7, maybe you are very happy with your current color TV. You want to change it to a better one. And the current one is Sony. So the chances of a customer remaining loyal to the brand Sony is higher if the customer is happy with it. Now, why I'm giving this input is because in services marketing, you will have a huge gamut from a terrorist to an evangelist. So a terrorist is a customer who has bought a product, he is not at all happy with it, and he ensures that the product gets a bad name. So he becomes a terrorist to the product marketer. If the customer is happy, the other side of the coin is, if he's very happy, he becomes your evangelist among his friends and relatives without getting paid. So as a product manager, you should be very careful that your customers become somewhere near evangelist and not a terrorist. So your consumer behavior study, your after-sales service, everything is geared to make your customer be happy with your product. Am I getting it? Okay, next.
Yes.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Sorry, any questions? Any
Yes, sir.
inputs?
I have a question regarding this customer competitor orientation.
Yeah.
I'd like to cite an example of Apple products versus other manufacturers. So as you said,
okay.
If a product or a particular service doesn't have many competitors, the loyalty of the customers is high. But in the case of Apple, it has many competitors and very good competitors. Still, the loyalty of Apple products and Apple customers is very well known. So is it like, can you state any particular reason for it? Like, is it because of the quality of the products or the affiliation of US customers towards Apple product as because of the brand image that Apple has created for US?
Okay. Now again, I'm going back to your marketing management course. In that, you had Porter's generic strategies. कुछ सुना है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You know Porter's 5 forces theory.
Yes, sir.
Great. Now, Porter also has got another theory which is very popular, known as the generic strategies. That is, what are the generic strategies which a company can use for being successful? So the strategies are threefold. One, differentiation. Two, price leadership. And three, niche. So if you look at niche, that is Bose speakers, you will have n number of speaker companies in the world, but Bose is a niche. What is the niche of Bose? It is an extremely high priced, extremely high quality product.
Yes, sir.
And it is not available everywhere. So they are a niche product. If you talk about price differentiator or price leadership, you will find many companies which will be the cheapest option available. For example, I would even use the word Patanjali. If you look at Patanjali, you will find Babaji coming on TV and telling that honey from Patanjali is costing 86 rupees, while honey from others like Dabur, etc., of course it doesn't name them, other competitors will be about 130 rupees. So that is a price leadership they want, that I'm giving you a good product at a price leadership. The third one is differentiation. And this is where Apple is. Every product of Apple is extremely different from what the market gives. So if you compare Apple iPhone with maybe the nearest competitor is Samsung, you will find that there are n number of differences which Samsung does not have. So Apple, because it is a differentiator and innovation leader, it is able to have a market even though there are 50 or 60 different mobile phone operators, mobile phone manufacturers. So Apple uses the strategy of differentiation. And because of differentiation, it also has a strategy of price leadership. That is, whenever a new Apple phone is introduced, the price of the phone is the highest in the market, always. Now, of course, Samsung is trying to do that and failing miserably. For example, the S series and all those things, it is failing miserably.
Galaxy Fold.
In fact,
Galaxy Fold.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm sure you have got n number of examples. Second is, at one time, Samsung used to be the #1 smartphone maker in India or seller in India. Now I think it is number 2 or number 3. Xiaomi and all have taken over the market. So the point I'm trying to make here is that in spite of Xiaomi, in spite of Oppo, in spite of Vivo, in spite of X and Y, Apple has its own market share. And the last I heard is it is increasing the market share in the Indian market. Right? So why? Not because it is a Me Too product. It is because it is a differentiated product. Now, because it is a differentiated product, the snob value is very high. Now, never underestimate the power of the snob value. Right? About 10 years back or 8 years back, the highest snob value was with BlackBerry. So if you have a BlackBerry, you say, hey, I have a BlackBerry, which means, I am a snob. And this BlackBerry, they made the cardinal mistake of coming on TV and saying, BlackBerry, it's for all. And the advertisement showed the office goer with a suit and a lady with a shorts and dancing with a BlackBerry. Immediately the snob value went down. Because the snob value went down, we all know BlackBerry is nowhere in the market now. So things can change drastically. So even now, Apple has registered the the call of making cheaper phones. They don't want to. So it's always differentiation and price leadership. So even though there are 20, 30, 40 brands, you still call Apple by an Apple, as an Apple. So have I answered your question?
Yes, I agree with you on the point that Apple definitely makes better quality products. But still, there is a recent example of one product I would like to give: the Apple earbuds. They recently which they introduced wireless. So on ground, the technical specifications of those, like many experts claim that they are not as good as the other competitors. They are hyped because of the Apple name, and Apple fanatics are ready to pay as much amount as Apple demands from them, simply because they're Apple earbuds. But on ground, the performance was not as far with the some of the other competitors. So is it related to the snob value, which just,
Okay, nice, very nice. So what you say is, technically it is feasible and possible that there are products which are better than Apple. I am with you on this 100%. I'm not disputing that at all. But the point of the matter is, at the end of the day, you need somebody known as the customer. So if the customer perceives X as a better product compared to Y, I'm sure you heard about the story of Hire. You want me to talk about it?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay. Now, Hire, when it went to America, remember, the name Hire sounds German. So they went to America and went about selling their white good products. And the Americans bought it in the notion, or the wrong notion, that it's a German product. And at one point of time, they had almost 1.5% or 2% of the American white goods market, which is huge. Gradually, somebody told the Americans, hey, why are you buying a Chinese product? And they said, what do you mean? Hire sounds German. And they said, no, it's a Chinese product. And the sales crashed. Today, if you see the percentage of white goods sold in America, it is less than 1%. Okay, now, I have a query to the class. When Hire was sold and the people bought in the wrong belief that it's a German product, obviously, German products are known for their quality and their engineering. So when you buy a Hire, thinking it is a German product, you expect it to be a very highly sophisticated engineered product. And you still bought Hire. And you do not have any complaints about Hire. So if I say, you can correct me, that Hire actually had a highly sophisticated, highly evolved product which they gave to the Americans, even though it was Chinese. And German products and the Chinese products like Hire had almost no difference in the quality. Still, as soon as the customers came to know it is a German product, it's a Chinese product, the sales went down by more than 50%. Comment.
Perception.
Correct. Perception. Customer perceive value. So if you look at iPhone, If you ask me, are there better engineered product in the market? Yes. YES in caps. But why is it that iPhone is sold more? It is because of the perception that iPhone is different, iPhone is great. If you go to this, the list of most innovative companies in the world, the Make Awards, MAKE, the most innovative company in the world now is Apple. So I have somewhere I read Apple is the most innovative, and then I see a lovely phone and I buy it. So
Yes, sir, because like most of the technologies in mobile devices that we use today, like touchscreen or music related things, or some any other input devices, or even the screen quality. So Apple was a leader in innovation in all those. So that's why the perceived value of Apple has risen so much because
I'm
of
with
this
you. I'm
innovation.
not saying Apple is a bad product. I'm saying Apple is a fantastic product. But do you have something better than Apple in the market? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Yes. But the point is, why still Apple? So this is what I'm trying to say. That as marketers, never ever underestimate the power of customer perception. Never underestimate. Because of customer perception, okay, let's put it this way. We have about 17 or 18 IAMs in the country. ABC, LK, LK and what? I and S, and another 10. Sorry? How many? More than 17? Yeah. Now, I am brands first, but people if I may. Okay. Good. I have one question to ask you. Let's say I'm talking about IIM Sambalpur. Now, Sambalpur is a small town in Odisha. IIM Shillong. It is a capital of a state known as Meghalaya in the northeast. And I think last I know is it did not have an airport for flights. You'll have to correct me if they have now. So, I have a query. You know, in Pune, in Bangalore, in many of the places, there are n number of colleges offering MBA, which do not get enough students. But why is it that IIM Sambalpur, IIM Tiruchirappalli, IIM Udaipur, etc. get a full complement of students? I can tell you, sorry, why? I can tell you many of correct perceived value of the brand. The brand might have been created by IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore and Calcutta, but that brand is so powerful that Tiruchirappalli uses it, Shillong uses it, Sambalpur uses it, and n number, I think 1 IIM per state. So the point is, the initial iPhones were so different from the others that they have created a brand, and the brand is on. So that is why I said, never underestimate the customer perception. Okay, fun fact, iPhone display are made by Samsung. Why fun fact? It is a fact. It is a fact. And the reason is very simple, because the company which makes the largest number of displays is Samsung. You know, the LCD screen or whatever LED screen, it is invented by a company known as Philips. But the company which is the largest manufacturer of LED screens and LCD screens is Samsung. So iPhones will use them, why not? But yeah, it's a fun fact. Thank you.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
Out of these generic strategies, can we select more than one strategy for the particular
Yeah,
product?
why not? Why not? Why not? For example, if you look at iPhone or Apple, they have selected two strategies. One is differentiation, second one is price leadership. So whether it is the iPhone MacBook Air or it is a iPhone or anything, they are always the priciest product in the market. Always.
Sir, I have one more doubt. If suppose particular product is a leader in particular market, so
Okay.
cost can be kept higher, right? So is it always
Cost
the
or
case?
price?
Yeah, the price can be higher in that case. It can act as a cost leadership in particular sector. So is it
Okay.
always the case that for niche market, cost or price should be always less?
No, never. Niche market is actually a very high profit market. For example, the example I gave was Bose. So niche market is, I have a small market, but I am a leader in that market. Have you read or have you heard about a book known as Blue Ocean Strategy?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Huh? Awesome. Any idea what that is?
Yes, sir. Innovation.
Correct.
Blue, so
Correct.
it's better to have a strategy where you're not trying. The competition is less instead of going into a red ocean where a lot of competition is there. So you try to capture the pie of that market where the competition is not that much.
Right. Right. So a blue ocean strategy says, as compared to red ocean strategy, it is actually Michael Porter who said competitive strategy. What is competitive strategy? I want to kill my competitor and take the strategy. So what happens? He bleeds and the ocean becomes red. So it is the red ocean strategy, competitive strategy. While blue ocean strategy is a European strategy. They say, let me go to a blue ocean where there are no competitors and take the market share. And then over a period of time, because I'm successful, there will be n number of people who will come. And then my blue ocean at that point of time becomes a red ocean. So what do? Next phase, I search another blue ocean. So the entire life history of the company says, I always consider where the blue ocean is and I go there. So this is what I will be doing for the rest of the life of the company, right? So if you look at competitive or the style of competitors, this is what you can do, either of the two. Is competitive strategy good? Yes, why not? Is blue ocean strategy good? Yes, why not? So if you ask me a niche market and a differentiation and a price leadership, it is basically talking about competitive strategy, which means all are and Americans love competitive strategy. If you look at India versus China, in India, our national game or one of the games we have invented and given to the world is chess. What is chess? Chess says, I kill the other to win. I kill the king to win. In China, the game which they play is checkers. Checkers say, I don't kill anybody. I just calmly and quietly take over his area and throw him